So hi guys, let's get started. I'm just going to start by pushing her cuticles back really gently so that I don't hurt her. They're a little bit stuck. Don't go in at a too flat or a too steep angle. Just sort of 45 degrees and ease the cuticles back gently. This is super important because we want to expose as much as possible if we can of the nail plate so we can get rid of all the dead skin that's built up. So I'm going to go through all the fingers and just go around and push them back. When that's done, I'm going in with like a little cuticle bit. You might have seen some people use a ball shaped one. Mine's a little bit more of a cone shape. You can see it removes so much more and it's going to make the cuticles super clean and nice for gel application. So take your time and be careful, and I'm running this at literally a super low speed, so it's just almost like a little massage. There is also no need to dig at the skin, just let the nail gel work on its own. You don't want to be putting pressure down on the nail plate or using sharp points to go underneath. Just be really gentle and easy, and the client will appreciate that as well because it's not supposed to hurt. I like to sometimes just clean in between so I can assess what I've done and what I need to do. So I've just got a bit of cleaner on a brush and I typically will just sort of scrub up and down. Now, this is a little cuticle knife. I don't particularly like removing too much, and when I do, I am super careful. So I'm just literally taking off all the loose parts. We do not want to be touching the living skin. It's just to tidy up and make those cuticles look really nice. And sometimes with older people, you will find that they can have cuticles that are stuck a little bit, and often people have got rather dry skin. This is approaching winter time, so if you cut people, it will bleed easy. So just take your time. And I am also using gloves, as you can see, when I'm working on her, just so we don't spread any bacteria or get any nasty stuff, because it is COVID and we want to be careful and hygienic when we work and also be professional. So after that little tidying up, I'm just going to go in like I always do with a sanding band. Just carefully just going around the cuticle area and removing all the shine off the nail so that we can get the product to sit properly. Again, really low speed, and I'm going around really gently and carefully. The client shouldn't feel any pain, and you should not work in one space over too much time because you can get a heat build up, especially at higher speeds. So I just sort of go little baby circles round and touch the surface and just get all the surface shine off of the nail. If you want to avoid lifting, which we all do, you really need to go through these steps. Sometimes people will experience lifting because they have skipped steps or have been careless. Really need to pull the skin back when you're doing prep so you actually can see what you're doing. And another tip from me would be to get a really good light so that you can constantly assess the nail and see where you need to be putting extra effort in so that it's absolutely flawless before you start your application. And again, before I go into any kind of gel application or acrylic, I will properly brush the nails off with a cleaner, so it's just everything is really scrubbed nice and clean and sanitary, and so that I can see what I'm doing. So I've applied a non-acid primer to the nails, and I'm going to carefully go in with a base coat and just paint it on thinly. It's important to have a good foundation, so take your time and let it level out if needed. Don't need to do it too thick because then otherwise things won't stick on it. But on the other hand, don't do it too thin because you want to kind of fill out some ridges. And base coat is like a double-sided sticky tape which will adhere to the nail and also get the product to adhere properly on top. Also make sure that you cap the nail, even if you're doing a gel overlay, it doesn't matter, just get it nice and clean. You'll sometimes see that I've speeded my videos up a little bit, but in real life I always take my time. I'm so meticulous when it comes to prep and base work, because that is what makes the nails really last for ages. If you look at her thumb, she's got like a little bump in the middle, a little ridge. That's because she damaged her nails quite a few years ago by slamming it in a door, so that's nothing to worry about. We're just going to try and even that out nicely. So okay, I'm just doing a thin layer because this is an overlay, and I'll typically start at the cuticle. I've done a custom mixed marble on this, and I'm just floating it across the nail. I'm not applying any pressure, and I'm holding the nail down. Because I've got the base coat on, I've got product control, and what I like to do is, I'll give you a little tip. I don't fill the nail in straight away. I use a number 6 oval gel brush, but I will go in on the sides with a art liner and just pull it down carefully so it doesn't flood into the side walls, because that will cause lifting as well. It's not only the cuticle, you don't want it on the side walls, and you don't want product on the skin because that can give you allergies, so be really careful. If you struggle with gel that runs everywhere, you could try to keep it in a cooler area. In the summer, I sometimes even put mine in the fridge for a little while. That usually helps. And if you're doing a bigger nail or a longer nail, you'd be better off applying less at a time and going in with more layers. And also for beginners, but I work super light, and I'm just sort of gliding the gel over the nail. I'm not patting it down or pushing it. I'm on top of it and I'm just pulling it down really, really carefully. And as you can see, I just go down also over the free edge and kind of cap that. And where I need to, I just apply a bit more. And as I said, this isn't running anywhere because I'm not using massive amounts. And I hold the client's hands kind of firm so that they can't fidget and squirm. And I also tell people to sit really still to get a best result possible, because otherwise they, as I said, they risk getting it everywhere and the nails can go uneven, and worst case it's more filing for me, and I don't particularly want to do that, to be quite honest. So again, just sort of floating, and I bounce the gel a little bit more at the cuticle and just sort of float it across the nail, make it nice and even. And again, I take my time. Super important, there's no need to rush. It takes longer to correct things than to apply it correctly in the beginning, so just be careful guys when you do this. I'll also go in and kind of flash cure the gel in between each nail so that it doesn't get the chance to run. And if you're a beginner or you're a slow worker, I would definitely recommend that you just did one nail and then flash cure it, or obviously work on alternate hands when the other one's in the lamp. Another thing is to consider is the thickness of the layer you're applying. Gel can burn in the lamp. This is a soft gel, so it's super easy to work with and it glides over. And it's a little bit easier on the client. The burning sensation, I mean, you're not harming the client, it's just the gel curing, but it can be very, very uncomfortable. So if you've got clients that are sensitive, or if they experience a burn, just get them to take their fingers out the lamp for a few seconds. Don't keep the fingers in there and tell them to press down. Just let them have a break. So yeah, my tip for beginners would definitely be to control the temperature of the gel and the room. If it's cooler, it'll be easier for you than if it's hot, because then it will run absolutely everywhere, and then it will make you have to work a bit faster. Either that, or you can get like one of these small LED lamps that you can buy on AliExpress or wherever, and just flash cure it also in between, just to save yourself all the hassle of cleaning it up. So that was the gel that I custom mixed. And when I'm done, I'm just removing the tacky layer. I know it might not look like I have, but I have added a small apex to these nails, but because they're not long, I didn't have to make a very high apex, and I don't particularly like very high apexes either. Often they're not necessary. If you've got a good C-curve, and I sculpt a lot, and often I will pinch, normally you don't need a really, really high apex. That can either be like a style, but some people do go over the top, and if you misplace it and make it too big, you can get a nail that will be front heavy as it grows out, and that can also cause lifting. So adjust the height of the apex to the length of the nail and the client. And some people just can't have really, really long nails. And I do a lot of gel overlays and gel polishes because I find that most people actually do prefer to have them shorter or an active length, especially older people who like to just look presentable but not have the full extensions. And as always, when I'm finished just smoothing the surface, I will be going in with my brush again with some cleaner and getting rid of all the filing dust. Now, on these nails today, I am going to be just enhancing the marble effect a little bit, and I'm going to work wet, as I like to call it. I will be applying a thin coat of top coat just to help the, I'm using a gel polish just to help it move around a little bit. Even though I'm not going to do a cure on this straight away, what I'm going to do is I'm still going to just put a little bit and cap the edges just out of habit really, and it just gives that extra strength to the free edge so it doesn't chip. So I'm doing 4 fingers and I'm just going in with some white paint on a art liner brush and just going in random places and pulling some white through so we get more of a marble design. When I've done all 4 nails, I will cure it and then I will move on to the thumb. The top coat I am using leaves a tacky layer. I did that on purpose. So what I can do is I can just go in with some gold foil. This stuff is crazy and it goes everywhere if you breathe on it. So use a pair of tweezers. I am using my magic wand because I couldn't find tweezers they're small enough. And once you've laid this down, it will stick, and it will stick to anything. So I'm just doing a bit of detail around the sides. I think it looks really fancy, and it's just that little bit extra just to sort of jazz the nails up too much. And again, bear in mind the age of your clients and what they want on their nails. But again, it's just a really pretty detail. These sorts of gold foils are reasonable. You can buy them anywhere, and it's a really quick way just to glam up a nail a little bit. Just make sure that you lay them flat, and as I said, these are paper thin, so they're so easy to work with. So okay, I'm just going to repeat the process on the thumb so that we finish these off nicely, and I'll be going in a little bit more heavy on the gold leaf or the foil, call it whatever you want to, just to get the details on the side. But first of all, I'm just going to go through like I did with some white on the top just to give it a bit more of a marble before I'll go in with my foil. Again, just placing it, and because I've got gloves on, I'm just going to sneakily press it down with my finger. And again, for a beginner, this is a great way to get into nail art. Okay now, so this is done. So I'm going to put a final coat of top coat down, a no wipe, and again I'm going over the nail with a thin layer even, and I'm also going to make sure I just double cap the edges so that they are really nice and durable. And again, short nails do not have to be boring. These are sort of a glam, nice day-to-day look for a older woman or a client that just wants something simple but yet fancy. So when this is done, I'm just going to pop it in the lamp and cure it, and we're going to look at the final result. And this is what they turned out like. They are really, really pretty. Just to finish off, because her cuticles have been through a bit of an ordeal, we're going to put a little bit of cuticle oil on. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and you got some inspiration. Please like and subscribe, and I will be doing more tutorials.